great. You know, sometimes I'd come up to the line of scrimmage, and the center, I was defense, and the center and the guard would be there, and I would come up, and the guard would look at the center, and they go, "You're gonna attack? You know, you're gonna block him?" And it's like, "I don't know how to block him. Are you gonna block him?" And I would just shoot right through and take down the running back or the quarterback, and the coach would yank those guys out and go, "What the hell are you doing? Take him down, do something." So then those guys would be so messed up in their brain that they would start like double teaming me, which then would free up the linebacker to be able to come in. So really, it worked out. Even if I'm tying up somebody, it tied them up in a way that they weren't used to, where somebody else was able to, you know, make a play. It was the same way in wrestling. You know, kids thought that it was going to be real easy to beat this guy without legs, but if you think about it, if you're wrestling against a guy without legs, you don't know what to do. But I know what to do against you leggies, you know. So I'd come out there and they'd be like, you know, and sometimes there were times when the kid would be running away from me and the referee would literally throw him into me because he was so afraid. And so I'd take him down and stick him and, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, baseball, I do remember there was one game that I had where I came up with the bases loaded. We were playing our big rival Parker. And I come up to bat, and all of a sudden this guy in the stands just starts screaming, "That's cheap baseball. He shouldn't be allowed to play. What's he doing out there? He's a freak. This is just, get him out of there. There's no way." You know. And I stopped and I looked at my coach and I'm like, you know, and he's like, get in there. So I got in there, and I remember the first pitch was low and in the dirt, as most pitches were, because it, you know, it had a real low strike zone. But the next pitch was right here above my head, and I remember I just smashed it into right field. 3 runners come around to score. I'm running down to first, and as I got down to first, I spun around on one hand on the base, and I pointed, and I'm like, "That's what I'm here for, you bleep, bleep, bleep." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just drove in 3, we've got the lead, this is great." And my coach is running across the field. I'm like, he's going to carry me off the field, I'm a hero, ha, 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 you know, woo, you know, that kind of thing. He's like, "Stevens, get your butt in the dugout." I'm like, "But coach, I just, you know, drove in 3 runs." He goes, "Get your butt in the dugout." So I go into the dugout, and he's like, right in my face, and he's like, "Stevens, I'm pretty damn proud of you, but when you started talking to that guy, you lowered yourself to his mentality. You became that guy." And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, "You should always walk the talk. Walk the talk. Act like you've been there before. Carry yourself so people will remember you." Because when people saw that, they saw this guy yelling and being a real dorkhead, and they see me being a guy just kind of giving it back to him like I'm on Jerry Springer or something like that. And it wasn't intelligent on my part. So I never forgot that moment. And every time I made a play, I just acted like I'd been there before. If I sacked a quarterback or caused a fumble, I would just do this. I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't go nuts. You know, you get a base hit, you do whatever you do, and you just walk away and act like you've been there. And I'm trying to instill that into my kids as well, that if you show class and act like that, not just in the sporting field, but in the classroom as well. Say you do great on a test. You know, "I got 100% on that test." You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to, you know, let your parents know. But just let people have the accolades for you. Don't draw attention to yourself that isn't really positive or in a good light. And to this day, it's just as fresh in my brain that I always, every time I see these guys on TV, high-fiving and hooting and hollering and going crazy, and I'm like, you hit a home run and you're down by 7 and you're going crazy like that, like, you know. So, you know, the prejudices hasn't been there a lot. Hopefully some of the success has deterred people that, you know, it's got to be weird. I mean, if you have a teammate that doesn't have any legs, not a lot of kids in the United States have probably ever had that opportunity or saw that, so it's a whole different thing to deal with, but most people were pretty positive.